Hi, everybody. I'm PJ Kwong for SGS Live, and in today's session, we will be talking about sustainability in the textile industry. It's a story about chemistry, really. You may ask why this is important, and I will say that in the textile industry, the production process from manufacturing fiber to finished garment can pose great risks to the environment. And by adopting the production and processing of sustainable textiles, we can help reduce the negative impact on the environment. So, there's a lot to uncover here. And for this conversation, I am joined by Fabian Walda from Bluesign Academy, one of the SGS Group of companies, who will describe the concept of sustainable chemistry, what this means for us as consumers, and where we are headed in the future. Welcome, Fabian.
PJ, hello from Germany, and thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, right off the top, can you tell me a little bit about Bluesign and what you do there?
Our history goes back into the 2000s, when we have started with a few chemical and textile experts, our groundwork on sustainable textile production and better chemistry. First and most of all, Bluesign today is a service-oriented company, and with this offers solutions for a sustainable textile industry. Our main focus here is still on the people, is on safety, it's on environment, and on the responsible use of resources. We are working together as a system, as we call it, the Bluesign system, which is our network of chemical suppliers, manufacturers, and brands, or in another word, our valuable Bluesign system partners. In consequence, we verify all kinds of materials along the textile value chain, such as chemical products, yarns, fibers, fabrics, or trims. And if these Bluesign approved materials are going into a textile product for end consumer, we can label this with the trademark Bluesign product. And these products are produced in a resource-saving way with reduced impact on people and environment and meet the highest levels of consumer safety.
So, I have a question. We're going to shift gears a little bit to the academy. I'd love to know what kind of information are you trying to get out into the world via the Bluesign Academy?
Okay, so like any certification scheme, Bluesign also needs a standard setting part, which is the Bluesign Academy. And with this, one of our main jobs is to develop and evolve our Bluesign criteria, as well as our restricted substances lists for chemical products and textile products. The Bluesign Academy itself, it stands for, and this is our motto, it stands for Valuable Sustainability Knowledge for Society and Industry. For this, we are responsible actually to share our knowledge, and this in terms of education, trainings, and workshops. The Bluesign Academy is also the umbrella for all consultancy service and projects at Bluesign. For examples, we are coaching companies to prepare for their sustainability reporting. We're coaching chemical suppliers specifically for their product stewardship. We are performing product footprint calculation, root cause analysis, and troubleshooting or writing of expert reports on all kinds of subjects. And moreover, together with our stakeholders, we are developing on new concepts, innovative concepts such as sustainable chemistry, actually the topic what we want to talk about today.
So, I guess I have another little bit of a question, if you can help me out, and that is, what is the difference between Bluesign certification and other certifications? And I guess, can you give me a bit of a snapshot as to how you work?
Okay. So yeah, first of all, Bluesign is as we heard, it's a holistic system. So we are involved in every step of the entire textile supply chain network. So from the chemical formulation to the textile materials, up to the final garment and to the brands. Compared to other certification standards, let's say our focus is not on the testing of the final product alone. So still one of our main focus here is what we call intelligent input stream management. And with this, we want to eliminate harmful substances right from the beginning of the textile value chain, that they are not passed along the whole supply chain to end up accidentally in a consumer product in the end. So we know the production conditions through our routine on-site assessments, and moreover, we actively support our system partners in their chemical change management, in their continuous improvements, and so on. So with the goal really to improve the overall sustainability performance of a Bluesign system, of a company, of a Bluesign system partner over time, and to phase out problematic chemicals and replace with better chemistry.
Okay, you know what? I apparently am not the only one who is interested in this topic. As always, we have a great audience from around the world. And let's take a quick look at the comments to see who's joined us. We have an audience from Ghana, from Pakistan, from Mexico, from India, from basically all over the world. A big welcome to one and all for joining us today in our discussion about sustainability in the textile industry with my expert, Fabian Walda from Bluesign, one of the SGS Group of companies. Okay, this is really an important part. This is our trivia question. So I want to see if our audience is paying attention. Fabian, you know the answer to this question, so you can't play.
Okay.
Our question today, and for those of you who'd like to play along, please put your answer in the chat to the following question, which is the Bluesign system the solution for A, sustainable textile production, B, for finding standards for environmentally friendly and safe production, C, to give consumers confidence in purchasing responsible products, or D, all of the above? Okay, let's take a quick look and see some of our answers. Remember, put them in the chat. A, B, C, or D. We're looking for the answer to what the Bluesign system can provide. If I had to answer, and I'm going to right this second, the answer is actually D, all of the above. So Fabian, I know that you knew the answer, but did everybody else? So all of the above. And when we're talking about questions, I want to know, in the textile industry, and we're talking about chemistry, what exactly are we talking about?
Okay, so good question, PJ. Yes, chemicals are or have a very important role in the textile industry. So statistics shows that 25% of the worldwide chemical output goes into the textile industry. And here with really the vast majority into the conventional dyeing and finishing of textiles. And when I talk about conventional dyeing and finishing of textiles, I mean the old technique. So putting undyed raw fabric in a big vessel with a lot of water and with chemicals. And you need a lot of energy to heat up the water. There are some substrates like polyester, you even have to heat up to 130 degrees. And then you move the textile so that the dyes and pigments are extracted out of the dye solution and on the fiber. So this is what we mean with conventional dyeing and finishing of textiles: a lot of water, a lot of energy, and chemicals. So back to the chemicals, you can say that you need for dyeing and finishing with these techniques 1 kilogram of a synthetic fabric like polyester or polyamide, you need 300 grams of chemicals, more or less. Compared to this, dyeing 1 kilogram of cotton fabric already requires the double amount, so 600 grams of chemicals are about necessary. The average textile dyeing and finishing plant uses around 300 different chemical products, which are grouped into all kind of dye stuff, textile auxiliaries, and basic chemicals. 20% of these chemical products, which are used in these dyeing and finishing techniques, are really intended to be fixed on the textile fiber. We call them effect-giving chemicals. So we have the dyes, which gives an optical effect, like the color and so on, and we have finishing agents, which give a functional effect, like wrinkle-free for shirts, or like flame retardancy for a workwear, or water repellency for an outdoor jacket. Yeah? And now the interesting part, the remaining 80% of the chemicals are needed for the process. Yeah? Like, for example, leveling agent, dispersing agents, or all kind of acids and lyes to adjust the pH in the process. These 80% are not intended to be fixed on the fiber in the end. This means consequently that these chemicals are released after production to the wastewater. Again, 20% are fixed on the fibers, 80% are released to the environment. By thinking about this is a very, very important fact to consider when we are looking into the concept of sustainable chemistry. And for those of you who say, wow, this is a big amount of chemicals just wasted to the wastewater, I just can give an example to our daily business, and this is a home laundry. In our every day we use detergents to wash our clothes in the washing machine, and we use this detergent or sometimes a softening agent, and also they are just added for the purpose of the washing, and then in the end is released to the wastewater as well. There
You
are
know,
other
oh, sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
What I wanted to say actually, or one of the last points, there are also other ways to dye textiles. You can dye synthetic fibers, for example, directly during the spinning. That is called dope dyeing or yarn dyeing or extrusion dyeing. This process requires only about 30 grams chemicals per kilogram fibers. This would be factor 10 less compared with the conventional dyeing techniques which we heard before. No water, no wastewater, a better overall environmental footprint. And also the quality performance of dope dyed fibers is better as the pigments get directly bond into the fiber. What I'm trying to say here, there are options to choose from, and there are alternatives on the market, but it's important that decision makers are really familiar with the way textiles are manufactured, familiar with the best available techniques which are available on the market, but also familiar with the impact on people and environment as a result from different manufacturing techniques or the use of different chemical products.
You're leading me into my next question. And I didn't mean to jump on you there before, but it is about the impact in daily life when we're talking about chemistry in the textile industry and specifically about fast fashion. Can you comment where that's concerned?
Okay, well, so fast fashion is fast fashion, right?
Yeah.
Fast fashion brands comes up with up to 24 collections on the market each year. This makes one collection each month. Fast fashion is for profit mainly. It's volume orientated. It's quantity oriented system, and fast fashion actually has massively influenced our consumer behavior in the past. For example, we Germans buying today the double amount of clothing, but wearing them only half of the time like we did 20 years ago.
Wow.
So when thinking of the vast resource depletion, emissions to water and air, and also sometimes the bad production conditions, I personally think something is going wrong if the value creation process for such a garment, this means from the fiber to the wardrobe of the end consumer, takes longer than the actual use phase by the consumer. So facing the facts, I would say fast fashion is cheap and easy affordable for everyone. With the fast product end of life, we face another problem. And I'm talking here about the tremendous amount of waste that is generated through the short use phase. And moreover, to this, we are not yet able to recycle fiber to fiber in really larger scales. Yeah? So fast fashion for me will not disappear immediately. But upcoming regulations, like, for example, the European Union Strategy for Sustainable and Circular Textiles, they propose already countermeasures against fast fashion. And I have checked my personal cupboard, and I brought today one of my favorite jackets, actually. I have to keep the brand here. I can say it's a Bluesign system partner brand, and this jacket is already, I would say, 15 or 16 years old. I bought it originally for a bicycle trip through Europe, but till then, since then, it served me through all kind of adventures and in my daily business. Our babies even spilled mother milk on it. So it goes through, yeah, it goes through like 60, 70 washing cycles at least. And I have to admit, not by myself, but by my wonderful wife. And I have also can say she uses the detergent in a very responsible way and good biodegradable, and we don't even have a dryer. But back to the garment, yeah, it's still here. Yeah, that's what I want to say. It's still here. It just has some holes. The color looks not as shiny maybe as it was, but it still serves the purpose after 16 years of use. What I'm trying to say here is, yes, we can put our fingers on others, like the brands or like the industry or like the policy. Maybe we also should put our fingers on others, but in the end, I think it's also on us. So it's also on us consumers to overthink the way we consume, yeah, and really ask the question: can a garment, can a shirt for $2, $3, $4 really be sustainable? Yeah.
Right. It's so interesting. And economics is what drives so many different decisions, not only in business, but in the consumer. So obviously, over time, your jacket has become much more affordable than maybe 5 fast fashion jackets might have been for the same dollar amount. You know what, everybody,
Exactly.
if you're just, exactly. And if you're just joining us out there in the audience, you have walked in on a fascinating conversation with my expert, Fabian Walda from Bluesign, a member of the SGS Group of companies, and we are talking about sustainability in the textile industry. Don't forget, as always, we have a Q&A at the end of this interview section, and if you would like to leave a question or a comment, please do so in the chat. But right now, back to our questions. Fabian, you
Yeah.
mentioned a word that sort of jumped out at me, and that is problems. So there are clearly problems within the industry. Can you tell me how Bluesign can help?
Oh, well, so first of all, I would say our Bluesign system is open to everyone globally. Yeah? So we can offer brands and also fast fashion brands our Bluesign system partner network as a sustainable supply chain partners, I would say, for responsible textile production. What we also can offer are verified, approved materials and better chemistry. We call it the Bluesign Finder. This is our search engine for sustainable chemicals. We offer the textile industry already today over 20,000 chemical products that have been strictly verified by Bluesign. And these products have a very high level of consumer safety with less hazards and less impurities. These Bluesign approved chemicals actually are conform to international regulations. They are conform as well to voluntary standards and MRSLs, for example. Bluesign approved chemicals are also manufactured by a responsible chemical supplier. A supplier who has a very good and verified product stewardship practice in place. What I'm trying to say is there are solutions already there. And again, I think it's important that that the decision makers actually know their supply chain, have a good supply chain management in place, select responsible and sustainable business partners, and as well select sustainable materials and chemical products.
It's interesting when you're talking about solutions. One of the solutions clearly is sustainable chemicals, but are they a reality? Are they even possible? And what does this mean for consumers in their everyday lives?
Okay, so coming to the center of our discussion, and yes, you can say that today, and to the consumers, you can say that today it is already common practice to produce chemicals for textile products that have less hazards and have less impurities and do not harm consumers by, for example, skin allergies. Bluesign, for example, restricts all kind of sensitizing substances, cancerogenic substances, mutagenic substances, and this, as already mentioned before, right from the beginning. And with our, we call it clean factory approach, and with our strict focus on the product stewardship at the chemical supplier, we really make sure that only verified products from verified partners enter the market in the end. But consumer safety here is not all. It's only one piece of the whole puzzle. There is much, much more to consider that you can say that a chemical product is sustainable. And for this, we have worked out a unique definition how we at Bluesign understand sustainable chemistry. And actually, I take my notes and I want to give it to you. And this is, I think, the important message for today. Yeah. So we think sustainable chemistry is a holistic concept. It strives to not just remediate or minimize the negative impacts of a chemical product, but to look at its whole life cycle and enhance positive impacts on environment, economy, and society, including the protection of human rights. Sustainable chemicals are fit for circular economy, encourage the use of sustainable feedstocks, improve the resource efficiency in downstream applications, and contribute to the longevity of consumer products while avoiding inherent properties that are harmful to human health and the environment. This is a long definition. So to wrap it up, our concept of sustainable chemistry, what we are going into is all the aspects along the product's life cycle, along the chemical product's life cycle. This means from cradle to cradle, from the chemical raw material to the end of life of the chemical which is on the textile product. We also think that a sustainable chemical product can only be produced by a responsible company that has appropriate practice regarding corporate governance and due diligence in place. So here, and I can say, and we can say this with confidence, that the Bluesign system partnership with a good rating would be a really good start to this journey.
You know what, Fabian? I guess it appears to me as if this might, in fact, be a go-to to make the fashion industry more sustainable. What do you think?
I think, and I'm happily answering this question with yes, PJ, definitely, and for sure. We will do what we can. Yeah, we will do what we can to offer the textile industry tomorrow, in the future, more sustainable chemical products. And you can see it as the consequent contribution from the chemical industry. But, and here comes a but, it requires, of course, a joint effort. Yeah, if you really want to transform the whole industry, the whole fashion industry, this only works and all actors along the textile value chain collectively are in demand to contribute within their sphere of influence. Yeah? So like brands will need to look into new business models that are both profitable, that are also sustainable. For example, return systems, repair systems, and accelerate the concept of fiber recycling. Yeah, fast fashion can tomorrow be like out of fashion now. Manufacturers and technology providers, they need to make sure to align their best available techniques for efficient manufacturing. And policymakers are also in demand. Yeah, they need to sharpen regulation and standards worldwide. Yes, so climate crisis, we know, has already initiated the transition to sustainability on almost all worldwide political agendas. Yeah, so with this, the nations, global nations, are repositioning their economies and their societies and their collective purpose, to save the planet, to maintain life on Earth, for future generations. And in the EU, which is a forerunner actually, with the upcoming legislation here, I'm speaking about the taxonomy and the corporate sustainability reporting directive, there had been already proposed really hard law to direct private capital to flow into green projects in future. And as already mentioned, in the end, I think we all need to rethink the way we consume, and the way we want to leave our planet for coming generations.
So fascinating. And for those of you out there just joining us, I am speaking with textile sustainability expert Fabian Walda from Bluesign, one of the SGS Group of companies. And you know what? We've got one more question before we get to our Q&A. We've got lots of activity in our chat. If you want to leave us a question, please do so in the chat window below this video. Okay, last question before our Q&A. Are you ready, Fabian?
I'm
I
ready.
know. All right. Broad strokes. Can you tell me about any milestones and your outlook on sustainable chemistry? I'm also interested in hearing about what you think the future holds in this area.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, actually, Bluesign is starting this year, so very short term, with the implementation of the concept of sustainable chemistry. And as I have heard before, we have released actually today a press release regarding this. And for this, we start to add selected sustainability attributes, product attributes to our Bluesign Finder search engine of approved chemicals. The first selected sustainability attributes are related to the selection of sustainable feedstock, renewable feedstock, recycled feedstock. So this has a huge impact for us, and we think it's important to start with this. This means in the short term, chemical suppliers Bluesign at the start, Bluesign chemical suppliers will have the possibility to hand in their claims, their sustainability claims for their registered products. And then the verification will be done by Bluesign against this respective criteria. What we plan then is a stepwise approach so that we can implement in future further attributes, such as, for example, product carbon footprint, hazard profiling, or other attributes which are related to circular economy, or even lifestyle attributes, like vegan or something like this. So more on the midterm. And in the meantime, and I think there's was an announcement in the last Eco Textile News. In the meantime, we are working together with an industry initiative, which is composed of chemical suppliers called the SCTI Group, which stands for Sustainable Chemicals for Textile Industry. With this group, we are working to accelerate this concept of sustainable chemicals. With this, we want to offer the stakeholders, all stakeholders in the textile industry, a so-called sustainability index for textile auxiliaries and dyestuffs. And this sustainability index, you can imagine this will be kind of an overall score that is comparable to what the AA plus rating, energy rating of a consumer product like a fridge or like a dishwasher. And also, as said, on policy side, there's a lot going on. The European Union is working on their sustainable chemical strategy in order to boost the investment and innovation and capacity within the field of sustainable chemicals production. And last but not least, we believe with this that our concept of sustainable chemicals meets the trend, and moreover, that it can become the standard in the future.
Fabian, this is great. And you know what? We're going to go right to our Q&A. We've got a combination of questions from our audience as well as questions from that came in before. So let's go with our first question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Wonderful. From Ranjit Kumar, can you please tell us the sustainable ways to reduce chemical consumption in textile? Thank you for the question, Ranjit.
Okay, so can you explain the, I just try to get it, the way to reduce chemical consumption? I think he mean in textile production, yeah?
Yes, I
So,
would think so.
yeah, so we are speaking here about, in the life cycle of the chemical product, we speak here about the application at the textile manufacturer. So we call it the downstream applications. Bluesign actually offers a resource efficiency calculator where resource-saving chemicals can be calculated. We call it the Bluesign Expert. But what I'm trying to say is in textile manufacturing, it is a kind of combination. There are chemicals and chemical systems out there that basically helps to replaces other chemical systems and have a better efficiency. Mostly this is achieved by saving one bath in an exhaustion process or two baths. Yeah, so then you save water, you save energy, and of course also chemistry. Yeah,
Do you
but you
know,
also need
Fabian?
to
I
combine it
just
with a good process know-how. Sorry, yeah.
No, I was just going to ask you to come back to that one statistic you said earlier on, where you used 300 grams of chemicals to
Yeah.
produce something, and then it got reduced with using sustainable chemistry to something far less. That is quite remarkable.
Well, so here we are talking about, and we have talked about the conventional dyeing, and I think
Yes,
Rajit, I think was the name, also referring to this.
yes,
And if you stay in the field of conventional dyeing, you can apply best available techniques, and you can search for, I would say, better chemistry. So you need to check with your chemical supplier if there are chemical systems which can be replaced and have a better efficiency in the dyeing process. And the part you are referring, PJ, is to another process technique, which is the dope
yes.
dyeing of yarns. Yeah, so that you um, dye use the chemicals directly in the spinning. Yeah, and this
Yeah.
requires much less chemicals, like factor 10, as I said, chemicals. But it is another process, and can be just done for synthetic fibers, for example. Yeah.
So we've learned two things. It's a balance, and I'm paying attention, believe it or not. So thank you so much for that great question, Ranjit. We've got another question from the audience, and that is from Alejandro Tovar Mesa. What are the expectations regarding material sourcing and supply chain in the next 10 years, taking into account the current situation and global crisis for raw materials? So how will that evolve over the next 10 years, do you think?
Now, this is a question where I can hardly give an answer. I'm not deep too. I'm so therefore I'm not too deep into this supply chain.
Okay.
Uh, I think supply chains will be more transparent in future, and this will be
Yes.
required by regulations. I think this is already starting. Yeah? So there is due diligence regulations on the way that to really know supply chains. But regarding the material availability or chemical availability, I cannot give an answer right now. Yeah, this is
You know what?
from
Who could have predicted where the world would be anyway? I mean, honestly, our crystal ball to do with where the world has been and where it stands today in 2022, nobody could have predicted. So I think it's a very interesting question to sort of consider out there in our audience, though. Like, let's try and predict where we will be going. But for right now, what I want to do is I want to thank you so much, Fabian Walda from Bluesign, for joining me today. Such fascinating information. I had no idea the ramifications of what was going on as far as chemistry and sustainability in the textile industry. So thank you so much for joining us.
and thank you, PJ, and again, thank you for having me.
You have been wonderful. Okay, for everybody else out there, we are so glad that you were able to join us today and to be part of this interesting and informative session about sustainability in the textile industry. Don't forget, if you want to learn more, please feel free to comment below. Also, you can visit Bluesign at the URL that is listed on our screen. You can, of course, visit our website at sgs.com. Thank you again for joining us. I'm PJ Kwong for SGS Live. Bye for now.